I had some awesome experiences on my recent trip to Animal Kingdom and Epcot. But there were also a couple things that weren't quite so great in my mind.
Not so great at Disney? What could that be?
If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with others. And make sure you hit the subscribe button and that bell notification so you can be told anytime there's a new video. I had an incredible trip down to Florida and revisiting Walt Disney World again after 8 years. I hope that you've seen the vlogs that I've already posted about the trip, and if you haven't, well, there's links in the description below. Go check those out.
Go on and watch them already. I'll wait.
But, of course, not quite everything can fit into a vlog. There's so much at Disney. There are some things that afterwards you go back and you look at and you think about later and go, you know what? I wish I talked about that a little bit in that video. So this is kind of a wrap-up collection of thoughts and experiences and different things that I liked and didn't like at Animal Kingdom and Epcot for you. I started off my trip at Disney with a day over at Downtown Disney. It's now called Disney Springs, and it was really neat to see all the changes that had happened there as it transformed from one to the other. A lot of the old favorites were there, but there was so much new, and it was so much fun to be able to enjoy it with a lot of my viewers. Even the landscaping, it's no longer just an outdoor mall, but there's parts of it that are just absolutely beautiful, and really enjoyed Disney Springs. I still want to call it Downtown Disney because it's just ingrained in my head. I want to thank everybody who joined me out there for that day.
So, thank you!
I actually ended up leaving Disney Springs with one regret, sort of, that I didn't have more money to spend. But it was probably a really good thing, too, that I didn't have more money to spend.
My wife says it was a really good thing I didn't have more money. I would have been in big trouble.
After Disney Springs, the next day, it was bright and early at Animal Kingdom. First thing on the list, of course, was Pandora. I was so impressed. I was blown away by Pandora. It may be the prettiest place in a theme park I have ever seen. Just absolutely gorgeous, and even more so at night. We played it really smart. We were there an hour before the park opened. We were actually hit Flights of Passage, hit the Navi River Journey, and we were out of Pandora 40 minutes after the park opened. If you're going to go to Animal Kingdom, I would strongly encourage you to do the same thing, because it allowed us to hit the rest of the park before the crowds had even started to move around.
Shoot, that's not just a good idea at Animal Kingdom. That's a good idea at any theme or amusement park.
The whole area of the park, though, as a replacement for Camp Mini Mickey, which was really kind of bare bones, it was just incredible. That was easily one of the highlights of the trip. There's a lot of me that doesn't even quite know how to put into words what Flight of Passage is in Pandora.
And that's why I'm talking and trying to put it into words.
Just because there's so much to see there. Even when you're walking through the queue on the ride, there's just so much to look at and see and do. My only regret with Pandora was I kind of hit it early, and then I had the whole rest of my trip to go. There were a lot of things that ended up kind of getting compared to that, which really wasn't fair. Pandora wasn't the only new thing at Animal Kingdom for me, though. When I was last there almost 8 years ago, Animal Kingdom basically closed at like 6 or 7 p.m. every night, and there was nothing at night. Well, that's since changed. They've now got a huge projection show on the Tree of Life, and then they've added Rivers of Light.
Rivers of Light, not life. I said it right this time.
As well as, of course, all the lights in Pandora. It turned the park from being a daytime park to a full day park. Really enjoyed Rivers of Light. There was one kind of beef with it, though, in that there's no narration or story. And without that, as beautiful as it is, a lot of it just feels like these boats and fountains floating around on the water. Okay, that's nice. It's pretty.
I like the pretty boats.
But it doesn't feel like there's a point to it. I know they had a lot of troubles when they were first starting it out, and there were some edits that they had to make to the show, and it's possible they edited out the storyline. All the great shows at Disney all have a storyline to them, and it really needs one to kind of tie it together that's more obvious to the people in the audience.
Tell me a story, Daddy.
But it's a beautiful show, really fun to watch, and a great way to enjoy the evening, and it absolutely fits in with Animal Kingdom.
Fits like a good pair of jeans.
Fits the park very well, so loved that. Over at Epcot, there were a couple other things that were really neat. Of course, everybody's very familiar with Test Track and Soaring, And they had changed since I was there last. Soaring was quite interesting. Having grown up in California, I really loved the old Soaring. And the new version of it with Soaring Around the World is, again, it's a fantastic, wonderful ride. And there's some spoilers here, so if you don't want to hear spoilers on the ride, skip ahead about 2 minutes. There is one thing, though, that really separates it from the old version. There's a lot of CGI in the new version.
That's computer-generated imagery, if you didn't know. Pictures drawn by computers.
You fly over some polar bears, which I thought was really cool at first, and then you see a baby polar bear rise up and go, and it's like, okay, that's fake. And at that point, my vision kind of got switched off a little bit to start looking to see what else they did in it that was fake. For example, one of the transitions, you have a plane that flies right into you. Okay, I know that didn't happen. There's another spot where you're flying over Africa, which is just beautiful. And you're flying over this herd of elephants. So I thought, okay, this is awesome. And then I realized the whole herd is CGI. There's so much footage of herds of elephants in Africa. You couldn't find one already or go find a herd to fly over. Instead, they got the whole thing as CGI. And then the bull elephant that's throwing dirt in the air that you fly through for your transition. I was like, ah. It took a scene that was really cool and it just kind of threw it off for me. The old version really didn't have CGI, and so that kind of off-put it a bit. It's still a fantastic ride. If you have never been on Soaring, you will absolutely love it. I promise. It's fantastic. It's awesome. It's just me. The other ride that I had mixed feelings, that had changed some since I was there, was Test Track. I really enjoyed Test Track in the past. If you haven't been on in the past, you used to essentially test ride a car, and you would go through the mountains and hit some hairpin turns and do a brake test and environment test and things like that. Well, now what they've done is they've got this whole deal where you build your own car and then you're supposed to go out and test it. Except the ride itself hasn't changed. The pre-show and the end show has, but the layout is exactly the same. And I had been on the old version so much that I was replaying the old ride in my mind. And I'm going,
this should be the suspension test.
Brake test.
Fail!
Brake test succeed.
Shouldn't I be getting sprayed with acid right about now? Look, it's the same truck that was there before.
Crash test. Let's hit the wall.
And none of this is happening, but it's what my mind is playing while I'm on the ride. It's sad because it's an awesome ride. And if you've never been on it before, you will absolutely love it. It's fantastic that way. And I kept wanting to smack myself in the head and go,
stop it, brain. Stop replaying the old ride. Stop it!
But it was a lot of fun. Enjoyed the new format. I love the stuff at the end of the ride when you get off, and there's so many different creative things that you can do to create your own car, test your car, and
crush your car! Yeah, okay, that might not have been there.
Do all sorts of stuff like that. That was really neat. Wonderful layover that way. It just had to get my mind to stop replaying the past. One other ride that's actually new at Epcot, and again, it's a makeover, is what used to be Maelstrom and is now the Frozen ride. And I have to say, I was so impressed with this ride. I really was. The animatronics on it were fantastic. The scenery, the music. It's a gorgeous ride. I can see why people are waiting a long time for it.
I personally wouldn't wait a long time, but then I don't wait a long time for anything. I'm spoiled that way.
My only struggle is I loved Maelstrom. I love what Disney is doing to add more things into World Showcase and to Disney-fy it a little bit. But I also really love the cultural spots that used to be there, and I want to see those preserved. So there was a big part of me that was saying Maelstrom was Norwegian culture. Keep that. Love it. But there was a part of me too going, Frozen is awesome. And it's almost too bad there wasn't a way to have both instead of one or the other. That was my only real issue with Frozen, is I loved Maelstrom. I thought it fit so well there. But so does Frozen. Which kind of leads me to a little concern over with Mexico. I love the Three Caballeros.
Wait, I thought you loved Maelstrom, you cheating scum.
I actually really enjoyed the old version of the Mexico boat ride that's there too. I have some concerns with Coco coming in, because I'm afraid it's going to end up being a whole ride that's just essentially a shill for a movie, as opposed to highlighting Mexico itself. When they revamped it to the Three Caballeros, they actually removed a little bit of the culture bit from Mexico, and I'm afraid that what's left, they're going to totally kill with Coco. That's just me, though. We'll see what happens. Kind of going back with the revamp in Norway, too, was the meet and greet for Elsa and Anna. Loved the new meet and greet area. There actually used to be a big Viking ship that was there. And for a while, it was a play area for kids, and then they closed it off for various reasons, and it just kind of sat there and looked like a pretty backdrop. Eventually, they got rid of it, and they put the meet and greet area there. Very well done meet and greet area. It fit in beautifully. Thought that was great. I love the ship, but I understood why it was removed. It really wasn't doing much anything except taking space at that point. So well done on that, and just a fun meet and greet. It really was. With meet and greets, I'm still not quite sure why that got rid of Pooh and friends over at the United Kingdom.
I like to play with Pooh.
They had completely redone the room since I was there, even the direction people went in. But why isn't Pooh and his friends there anymore? I don't understand that. It was a great place to be able to meet them, and I'm kind of sad that's gone. As for Epcot as a whole and Animal Kingdom, both great parks. Epcot World Showcase is still probably one of my favorite places in any of the parks. Love all the cultural pavilions and the different nations, and I would love to see them add a couple more. Future World needs help. That's the whole first half of the park, and Disney is very aware of this. That's why you have the Energy Pavilion that's being remade into a Guardians of the Galaxy ride. Innovations is pretty much all closed and boarded up. It desperately needs a revamp and a facelift. I like to see Wonders of Life, that whole pavilion, get revamped. Not just into a festival thing, but actually bring back some of the stuff in there. Make it a permanent place and a place to visit. With Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I'm afraid that it's really going to take away from the focus and what the point of that area of the park was. Guardians of the Galaxy is an awesome franchise. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I don't see how that fits in with Epcot's vision of the future and the different parts of our world. When you look at each of the pavilions in the Future World area, they've all got a point and a focus. Over on one side, you've got Imagination, Earth, and the Living Seas. It talks about our world as it is. And then on the other side, it was all about discovery with Mission Space and Test Track, the wonders of life and energy. And Guardians of the Galaxy fits there. How? That doesn't make sense to me.
There are a lot of things I don't understand.
Going to be a fantastic ride, but I don't see how it's fitting. But who knows what's going to happen in the future here as they get Epcot ready for a huge anniversary coming up later on. It needs help. It really needs some help. And you can tell they're trying to give Epcot some love. I mean, not only do you have the Guardians of the Galaxy coming in, you have the Remy ride over at France that's coming in. And personally, I think that's going to be fantastic because they're not removing the French theater to do it. They're adding on. And Ratatouille is just a great fit for France. But I hope they don't lose Epcot in their effort to save it.
Jesus said, whoever wants to save their life will lose it. But whoever loses their life for me will find it.
There were a couple other resort-wide changes that I found very notable as well. One of them was their app on your phone. You could actually order your food in advance from counter service places. I thought that was fantastic. I used it at Animal Kingdom at Flame Tree Barbecue, and it must have saved me a 45-minute long wait in the line. That was awesome to be able to order my food on the phone, tell it I'm ready, wait about 5 minutes and walk up to the counter, and there was my food. Paid for, awesome, done, I'm off to go sit down and eat. That was fantastic. And I love the fact they kept the seating at Flame Tree Barbecue because that's one of my favorite places. Really nice, quiet place to go there. So the whole order by your app on the phone was great when it worked. Over at Epcot, unfortunately, we had a problem. Over at the American Pavilion, I ordered a hamburger over at the restaurant there and had it all set, paid for it by phone, waited a few minutes, walked into the restaurant, and the whole pre-order pickup, there was nobody there. And I waited. And I waited. And I waited.
Honey, I'm here!
And at that point, I'm starting to try to wave people over to the window, like, what's going on? Meantime, I'm watching the lines at the registers there. I'm watching people order, pick up their food, leave. Next group, order, pick up their food, and leave. I waited 30 minutes.
Anybody home? Hello?
Before I finally got somebody to notice that I was at the window and walk over and go,
Oh, were you waiting for something?
Yeah, my food that's supposed to be ready.
Whoops, I guess we better go check on that.
I wasn't quite too happy with that. And I'm sure with it being a fairly new system, I happen to hit a kink in the system, and it happens sometimes. Wonderful system when it works. And hopefully the couple places where they're struggling with it like that, they'll pick those up and get the kinks worked out and fixed.
Hey, can you work out the kinks in my shoulder too? It's kind of stiff.
But other than that, I think it's a fantastic way for people to use the app and save time in the parks. I'm a huge fan of it. The one other thing that they changed that I was not a huge fan of was the opening ceremonies. Each of the park used to have their own little opening deal, and you would arrive at the park and they would open it up with a special thing. At Animal Kingdom, they would drive out in a big safari truck and have the characters there and they'd welcome everybody and had a little show that they did. Over at Epcot, they would have a family they would pick out as the first family, and they would walk them up by the fountains at Epcot, drive out a test track car, load them into the car, and take them off to go ride test track first.
Vroom!
Just a nice, short little ceremony way to welcome people into the park. Well, this time, both parks, they basically held everybody up right near the gates. Spaceship Earth right underneath it, and then at the gates of Animal Kingdom. And they had a family walk up and say, hey, we're open.
We're the Smith family from the United States. Welcome to Animal Kingdom. The park is now open.
And that was about it. And then they essentially turned people loose for a mad rush, which was something that never happened before. They always had a rope drop, and then for the big rides, like Soaring over at Epcot, they would actually have a group of cast members who would walk the guests over and make sure there was no stampede, nobody going to get hurt.
Follow us. Stay behind us.
That didn't happen. I was really surprised. Not happy about losing the ceremony, but surprised at the way they just kind of turned people loose and kind of risked a stampede. It's like, hey, we've got the running of the bulls at Disney, and we shouldn't. I really hope Disney rethinks that. I hope that they decide to bring back the opening welcome ceremonies. I thought they were a fantastic, wonderful way to start the day. It just felt like it was missing something without them. It wasn't special. It was like, oh, hey, you're here, walk in. That was one of the things that just kind of helped reinforce how special Disney was in the past. So Disney, bring back those welcome ceremonies and the openings. And please, for the big rides like Pandora and Soaring, walk them back. That was kind of scary. Overall, there were a lot of great additions to the parks, a lot of wonderful things. The night shows at Animal Kingdom, Pandora, Animal Kingdom itself was wonderful. It used to be one of my least liked parks, and now it just so much improved. Love ordering food on the app. That's a fantastic thing. The whole Disney app is great to be able to pull up your PhotoPass pictures on it, to be able to check ride wait times. If you're going to Disney World and you're not using the app, shame on you. Use the app. It's fantastic.
Use the app, Luke.
Even though Epcot's struggling, you can see that there's plans in place to revamp it and give it new life. So all very positive things. Only a few negatives. You need to work on the opening ceremonies, bring those back. Others are mostly me being dumb with the transitions from old rides to new. Sorry, traditionalists, I know. I'll get over it. It's probably more me than the ride itself.
It's all you. It's not the ride, dope.
And the truth is, if I could go back and hang around the parks tomorrow, I would, because they're just that awesome.
So that's my thoughts, good and bad, about Animal Kingdom and Epcot. Still a couple of the best theme parks you're going to find anywhere in the world. Hopefully, I don't have to wait 8 years to go back and visit again. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment on the video. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't. And thank you to my patrons for your support.
But there were... Now, I want to start off with the... Okay. I can't talk. Okay. That's one for the blooper reel. Now, of course, when I had... I've got this all written down, and I can't even speak it. You want to know what I did this time? I didn't speak right. That's what I did this time. Okay, let me turn you down, and maybe I can get my thoughts together. That's why you've got the Energy Pavilion that's getting remade into Galaxies of the Guardian? Yeah, okay. And they would pick them up... Actually... Okay.
Use the app. Use the app, Luke.